The Earth's mightiest heroes are battling threats the likes of which they could never possibly imagine, and in a world without S.H.I.E.L.D., that's all gotten much harder. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Avengers issue number 12 and find out. Alrighty then, so as we join the comic, Black Panther is showing around Jarvis, the Avengers' beloved butler, their new digs inside the Celestial at the North Pole. The place comes packing very many fully furnished facilities, and oh man, if that ain't a tongue twister, I don't know what is. In fact, the place is so big, Jarvis isn't sure that he can manage it, and after all, he's pretty much the only one stopping the Avengers from starving to death in their own filth. Luckily, T'Challa respects everything Jarvis does, and he doesn't want him to do it alone, and because of that, he's recruiting a whole sub-team to help the Avengers out on the back end. After all, there was a lot of things that S.H.I.E.L.D. used to do for the Avengers that they either couldn't do themselves or couldn't be seen doing themselves. First off, Black Panther recruits Guerrilla Man. He's a smart choice. After all, he was a former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and a former agent of Atlas, so he knows a lot of good super spy stuff and will make for a good chief of security. Plus, he's a talking, hard-drinking gorilla in people clothes, and I mean really, what story isn't made better by the inclusion of a talking gorilla in people clothes? Next up, we have the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, and I mean really, this makes all the sense in the world. She's a founding member of the Avengers, an expert costume maker, and an expert at keeping super teams grounded and being the heart. She also just so happens to be dating Iron Man right now, but that fact isn't brought up. Now, what is this new team going to be called? Well, the Agents of Wakanda, of course. Okoye is chosen to be the leader of this team. After all, she's Black Panther's trusted right-hand woman, and dadgummit, this team is going to be different than S.H.I.E.L.D. Just, don't pay attention to the big vibranium helicarrier they're tooling around on. Now, there's still plenty of roles to be filled on this Avengers support team. My favorite is probably Ka-Zar, master of dinosaur fighting. He's their brand new stealth operative, and his first mission is to infiltrate Atlantis and check up on Namor's war machine. But what about tech support? Every team needs some good tech support, and King T'Challa's got himself a real ace in that department. It's Brew. He's a former member of the Xavier School for Gifted Youngster and a member of the Brood race, and he's a tiny alien in a suit. What's not to love? Speaking of aliens, space is always going to be an issue for the Avengers. Who do they got out there? Well, surprise, surprise, they have John Jameson, son of J. Jonah Jameson, also known as Wolfman. That's actually really clever when we stop and consider he's an astronaut. John helps out the Wasp on her first mission to extract Morbius the living vampire from a bunch of space vampires who had kidnapped him. Why vampires are in space is beyond me, especially when we stop and consider the sun is in space. And you know what? Black Panther and his team wouldn't have known about this were it not for the Avengers' new Spymaster. Get this, Odin One-Eye. Yeah, he's helping out the Avengers back end too, using his Ravens to scout out important targets. The King of Asgard isn't doing this for free, he's only doing it in exchange for a rainbow bridge, but his knowledge is actually proving to be quite important. He's discovered that the vampires are in the middle of a nasty civil war between Dracula loyalists and a new upstart calling himself the Shadow Colonel that threatens to spill over into the human world and hurt a lot of people. With this very important information in hand, as well as a brand new team of heroes from around the world helping out in Avengers Mountain, Black Panther is able to update the team on everything that's going on. Their battle with Namor is safe to be put on the back burner for a little bit while they deal with the vampire threat, and obviously when you're dealing with blood-sucking undead, it's probably best to bring a ringer, and oh boy did they get the best in the business. It's Blade, everyone! He's becoming an Avenger as the comic winds down. So that was Avengers number 12, everybody, and overall I thought it was a really slick, cool little story. It's nice to see Jason Aaron working to fill the void left behind by the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but also not just fully copying them. I also think it's really creative to create a sub-team of superheroes helping out the bigger, more mainline superheroes from the shadows. It's kind of a nice message about how no one does anything amazing on their own, or how it takes a village of people from all over the world to save the world. I think that's kind of refreshing. Aaron also does a good job weaving plot threads about the upcoming vampire threat, as well as the War of Realms, and even what's going on with Namor. Ultimately, I think I feel comfortable giving this one an 8 out of 10. I quite enjoyed it.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and if you did, why not take a closer look at some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you're in a supportive mood, why not check out my Patreon page? Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. I would really appreciate it, and with that, I will be sure to be back again next time with even more great comic content that smacks of greatness. Bye-bye, everyone.